Hello, hello, and welcome to this episode of the Be Free podcast, where I have the lovely Nicola Cook with me today from Wild Wellness. So Nicola and I met a number of years ago through a mutual friend who hooked us up, and we used to do little monthly, like little business meetups and catch up over in a nice little vegan cafe, an excuse for a turmeric latte and some chat about anything spiritual. And then it's just kind of grown from there. So hello, my love.
Hello, Susie. Thank you so much for having me on here. I was just thinking we were ladies that lunched, but we didn't really do much work.
Yeah, exactly. Just as we were prior to pressing record, just chatting all things small business and the things you face as a small business owner and all the things you have to do.
Yeah.
But we have all these incredible tools to support us with that stress of being a small business owner. And it's a joy. It's an absolute joy. So do you want to tell me just a little bit for our listeners, or if those are watching on YouTube, a little bit about who you are, what you do?
Certainly. I am Nicola Cook from Wild Wellness. I live in the northeast of Scotland in my little country hideaway, surrounded by nature. So I've got my trees. I'm blessed to have a stream in my garden as well. I live with my fiancé, Will, and my recently adopted 14-year-old cat, Cherie. I didn't pick the name. That was the name she came with. Not that I'm saying it's a bad name. That's just her name. And I also have a soon-to-be stepson, Liam, who is turning 15. So I always thought I wasn't meant to be a mom, but turns out I am of sorts.
Yeah, it's interesting how those things happen, isn't it? Because I think I was a bit similar to yourself. I always thought that I would be a mum and have many children, and then find out I can have my own, but have two stepchildren, and then a miracle bambino.
Yeah, it's really interesting actually being a stepmom, because I've never been a mum, so I've nothing to compare it to. But I've got my sister who's a mom, so I've got niece and nephew and things. So it's been an interesting journey actually, and it's still a mum. It's still, I used to think I'm not a mum. I labeled myself that I'm not a mum, but then I thought, well, I am a mum in a different way from traditional mum, but it's still a mum. Even if you're a mum to a pet, you're still a mum, at the end of the day. So I'm a mum. Yes, I am.
Yes, absolutely. And I think it's one of the most challenging mothering roles, being a step parent, because you have the mothering you have to do the mothering, but you don't get really as involved with the decision making. So
yeah, that's true. I do see that often when I think I'd have done this maybe, but I'm not his mum, so I don't have the final say. I just have to guide Will from the back, maybe, if you like, and kind of give little pointers and things as well. But we're lucky because he's for 15, he's in a good stage right now. I've heard lots of stories about when they get to that age, they can kind of change, let's say, but so far he's been pretty good. But he gets to come to our house with nature, so we managed to get him off his phone, and we get him on the quad bike or chopping sticks or out in the garden and stuff, so he gets a little bit of good distraction to be able to keep him off his phone and stuff, because that's a bit of a thing, isn't it, for kids and teenagers just now as well.
absolutely. Amazing. Cool. Love that lifestyle. And do you want to share a bit about what you do for your business?
Certainly. So I'm a life and wellness coach. So I help women let go of who they think they should be and step into their true self. So it's about letting go of that conditioning, the layers, the unhelpful beliefs and mindsets that we pick up as we go along, to know they're enough, to stop worrying about what others think, the perfectionism, the anxiety. This is all my pain, so I know this pain well. I also do lots of walks into nature, so about connection and the healing energy of nature. So I do wellness mindful walks every weekend as well. So there's sort of two legs to the business. There's the coaching side, and then there's the walking side. They both coincide a little bit, to be fair, because both happen on either thing. So that's the kind of crux of what I do.
Beautiful. And have you always had this kind of background working within coaching and the walking, healing side of things?
In my physical body, like, yes, I wanted to, but no. I mean, my background, when I think back when I was young, like with my first boyfriend, I was like 15. I always had crystals and cards, and I listened to new age music and all that kind of stuff, but I didn't really fully embrace that part of myself. I was guided to Reiki. So I did start my Reiki journey about 15 years ago after a major rock bottom in 2007. And I was really guided to that. So that I did it on the side. So I was a full-time barber to trade from 15 up until 30.
Right.
For 30 years, sorry, not till I was 30, up until 2 years ago. So for 30 years, I had my own barbering business. So it wasn't till lockdown 2020, was that the first lockdown?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I decided to study my life coaching certification, and yeah, that gave me the sort of nudge to give up the job, because when I was told I could go back to work, which I didn't even know I could go back to work, because I was getting messages from clients asking if they could have an appointment, and because I don't watch the news, I was like, oh, what, are we allowed to go back to work now? I cried because I didn't want to go back to work. So I thought, okay, right, I hadn't passed my certification by then, but I thought I know I will, I'll give it all my effort. And then I retired from my barbering job in the August of 2020. So the coaching's been for 2 years, the spiritual side, the Reiki, for like nearly 15 years. So been able to sort of pull it all together and yeah, turn it into wild wellness, if you like.
Incredible, incredible. And I think that's something that's like really quite interesting, isn't it? And I can relate to that side of that spiritual side when you're younger, that you're just not quite willing to fully step into. And maybe you burn incense and you had tarot cards and you did all these things kind of on the sly, undercover, because everyone would be like, oh God, she's a complete wacko weirdo with her smelling incense and her tarot cards. But yeah,
Mum always used to say, I love that music. What music are you listening to? Like my new age pianos and all these lovely
dolphins and whales,
dolphins and stuff like that. My mum was like, ooh, instead of me listening to rap music, which I also probably did, but I was also listening to some really tranquil, chilled out music as well. So I was always in front of that. But as you say, it's that sort of coming out of that spiritual closet, isn't it? Because it's not encouraged, or it wasn't encouraged when I was younger, for sure. So it's like you're trying to do that whole conditioning, fit into the boxes, be the people pleaser, do what you think you should be. So that's a big part of my journey, is that people pleasing part. So yeah, the spiritual side only really fully came out, I mean, properly in the last couple of years. Like I wear more spiritual clothing now, and I'll do some more spiritual things now, and I'm quite open about it now, rather than like hide it. So yeah.
Yeah, no, it is. It's really fascinating how it comes back. And I think often we forget about those things. I know when I cleared my mum and dad's house, I had this box that used to be in my bedroom when I was a teenager that I found in their loft, and it had a little Buddha and all these things in it. And I was like laughing, like, oh my gosh, like, even back then,
Yeah, I used to have a box of tarot cards, and I couldn't read tarot. I actually then went on a tarot reading course not long after my Reiki course, and it fascinated me. Then I remembered, oh, I've got some tarot cards at home. I just didn't really understand them. So yeah, now I've got, I think like yourself, I've seen your card collection. Mine's maybe isn't quite as good as yours, but it's certainly getting there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it becomes a little bit of an addiction, doesn't it? So we give up the other addictions and then take up the spiritual stuff. So it's all good.
Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, you mentioned obviously kind of COVID, and I think a lot of people have, or the pandemic have made this shift into something that they love, but obviously there was that undercurrent there before. So what do you think really drew you to doing the work that you do now?
It was probably because I found myself a coach about 10 years ago, maybe plus. I was in my second marriage, and by accident. So I didn't think I needed a coach, but the universe clearly got the memo before I did. And I went to see a lady. It was for a different reason. It was to do with my work and my barbering business, but it turned out that I needed her. And I was obviously led to her to go and see how to get life skills. I didn't have anything. I had no tools in my toolbox, no resilience, no assertive skills, no how to channel anger healthily, how to put boundaries in place. I was the classic anxious people pleaser.
Yeah.
So seeing her, I mean, it changed my life. It absolutely changed my life. So the transformation I got from her, the seed was planted in my brain of, I want to do that. I want to help people do that. So whilst barbering, I would coach people on the side. And when I did the Reiki part-time, I would add an extra half hour for like a wellness consultation. So it kind of grew a little bit from there because I always knew it was in me. It was just a case of, I just didn't really, the barbering took up so much energy and time. But in the last maybe 5 years of barbering, I always said I'd walk away tomorrow if I could.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I didn't love it at the time, but it just, my heart was no longer in it. And I think that's the background was, the barbering was good for the people skills, like managing people and all that stuff. But the coaching side was, it's been in me for quite some time. It was really only having the confidence in the lockdown to give me that, right, you know what, this is the push I need to really just go, I'm going to do this.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna...
I think it's, you know, and I think there's like two things there in that, like the coaching gives you the space to connect in with what you truly want. But the pandemic has also given people the space to connect in with what they truly want. And, you know, just allowing for anyone that's listening themselves to check in with what actually does feel good. Like Nicola had mentioned, you know, not wanting to go back to work and crying and thinking, oh no, like, you know, we often ignore these signs. But when you give yourself a space for those signs to come through, or working with someone to allow that to come to the surface, it can be scary, but it's so powerful and so worthwhile.
I mean, that quote, jump in the net will appear, that stayed with me, because you can sit in the fear and go, what about the money side? You know, I'll be making no money because I hadn't qualified, was doing anything with it. And I thought, I'm just going to take, luckily I had a partner, so I was able to speak to him and say, is it okay if I quit my job? So I was lucky in that sense. So I just took that leap of faith and thought, if I don't make space for it to come in, it won't come in. Because I know a lot of people stick in that struggle of, but I can't give up my job until. It's like, but if you don't give up that soul sucking job, you're not making space for what really lights you up to come in.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think having support as you do that can be so valuable, just, you know, whether that be a partner, a coach, a therapist, you know, whatever, a good friend to support you, and taking that leap of faith can be so, so helpful.
Yeah.
So I know you mentioned, and I can see your beautiful nature background there, that nature is obviously a huge part of what you do. So I know it's something that I encourage through the work that I do as well, but what would you say for anybody who, I mean, more and more we're spending time at home, and I know we discussed this before recording, like people are in their home, they're working from home, you're on the computer, you're doing whatever, but you know, what are the benefits of getting outside, incorporating nature, connecting with nature?
I mean, nature changed my life as well. Like after I found a life coach, I then found nature. And I used to go up in my local hill like every day. For those local to the area, it's called Benihee. And I decided at 5 a.m. every day for 5 years, I was going to go up there. And I stomped up that hill with headphones in because I was on this personal mission. I had just become single. It was my second divorce. And I thought, something has to change. I don't know who I am. I'm people pleasing. I'm morphing into all these people, and I'm going to find myself. So that was my journey. And originally was to find myself through all the audiobooks, personal development books and things were super helpful. But then I realized that I wasn't really enjoying the nature as much as it was giving me the space to go and listen to stuff. So I then started to notice things I'd never noticed, like the changing seasons, the changing colors, and the smells, and the different weather, the different smells in the different weather, and everything about it. And I just started thinking, wow, this is incredible. Yeah. So now I don't walk with anything in my ears. Occasionally I do if I really feel I want to listen to something in particular, but most of the time I just go up in silence. So I used to run up and down Benihee in about 40 minutes from the top to the bottom. Now I do it in about 2 hours because I stop, I find a nice spot that I like the look of the tree, so I'll sit next to the tree and give it a little hug and sit there. And it's the grounding, it's the peace, it's the answers, it's the stillness, it's the wisdom. Like on the walks, in the group walks, I get people to touch the trees and we close our eyes, we do some breath work, we do some intentions and see what answers come from the trees. You know, it's the wisdom of Mother Nature, and it's just, it just makes me feel alive, you know. It's just, and I want to get as much people, same as you, encouraging people outside into nature. And if you can't get out to nature, even looking at an image of nature for up to 10 minutes can actually help that calmness, that parasympathetic state. It's like it gets you into that parasympathetic state. That's the main thing, which is controlling that stress, you know, the nervous system, calming it all down. And I mean, I go bare feet in the grass, and I go bare feet into my stream, and obviously plunge into the cold bath and all these things as well. And that's also grounding. So I like to do all that outside because it's all kind of nature spirit. So yeah, I mean, I could go on a lot longer about nature if I'm honest.
I love it. I love it. And I think it's, you know, it's allowing people to connect with something greater than themselves, and yeah, finding that sense of awe again, like just that word awe, like, you know, looking at the stars, looking at the sunrise, looking at the trees, looking at the changing of seasons. It's like a childlike magic, I think, that we often miss as we adults. And I think nature provides that. It's just,
yeah, I've made friends with like the rain. I've made friends with the wind. I actually like going up in the wind. I like getting at the very top and opening my arms and just like whooping and doing noises and just feeling that it's like cleansing. It's like the weather always seems to reflect my mood. So if I'm going up and I'm feeling a bit clouded, then it's often quite overcast. If I'm feeling I need some clearing, it's really windy, or the rain's really energizing and stuff. So it's like, I don't mind any of those weather conditions. I mean, I've been knee deep in snow up there, and I've been up there in a thunder and lightning storm. I wouldn't recommend that. That was kind of not, but it's like, it doesn't bother me. It's like, it's not an effort, you know, in the mornings to get up and just stick the hiking gear on and just get out there into that. It's the, like you say, it's that deeper sense of awe. Nature's, I mean, the trees have been around for a lot longer than we have. What have they seen? What have they taken in energetically wise? What have they witnessed and stuff? It's just incredible.
yeah. Amazing, amazing, amazing. And I know one of the other things that you're hugely passionate about is sleep.
Yeah.
So I know it's an area that so many people struggle with, you know, having a good sleep or staying asleep or getting enough sleep, or, you know, all the different things. I wondered if you've got any tips or tricks that you could maybe share with people that are listening or watching that might support them with their sleep.
Yeah, I mean, there's loads and loads and loads. So I was trying to think of what would be the easiest ones that people could apply. But the main thing really is consistency. So it's all about consistency, as is most of life, because I noticed you did a podcast on that just the other day.
That's last week's
podcast.
this week's podcast is
Consistency
exactly
with everything, you know. It's starting the thing, but making it a consistent part of your life. So with, I say consistency, it's a bit like regular bedtimes and regular rise times. It's something I stick religiously to. I miss a lot of evening events because I'm an early bedder. No, I'm not meaning everyone has to go to bed early, but it's finding that routine that works for you. Stick to that same time at night, same time every morning. And it's also about not sleeping in at the weekends. That causes something called social jet lag, which means you spend Monday, Tuesday catching up for those. Because I used to do it all the time. I mean, I'm sitting here telling you about this, but I used to be me. I used to have to get up for work every day, and on the weekends go, oh, I can have a longer lie, and sleep in. And then I wonder why I'm so tired. Trying to engage back with my week on the Monday. Simple things like dimming the lights after dinner. So when you've had your evening meal, dim the lights for the last couple of hours of the evening, because this helps the melatonin start to kick in. The melatonin is like your sleepy hormone, so it needs regularity. It needs to know that the signs, because we used to sit by campfires, and I'm speaking a while ago, obviously. I'm speaking days, and we used to connect, and that was connection being a big thing as well. And when the fire dwindled, everyone went to bed, so your body clock knew it was bedtime. You woke up because it started to get light, you know, the birds were starting to come out. And it's that like routine that we need. But then obviously we've now got like false overhead lighting. We've got bright lights. We've got screens and things as well. I've got my blue block glasses on just now because I work on my screen a lot more than normal. I actually noticed I forgot to wear them yesterday, and I had a bit of a headache and a bit of an eye strain, and I felt a bit, and then I thought, oh, I never wore my blue blocking glasses. They just help stop with the blue light. So screen emit a lot of blue light as well. And another biggie, and this is another quite controversial one, is phone out of the bedroom at night. Don't have the phone in the bedroom at night. It's super tempting to just have another quick check of it before you go to sleep, which emits the blue light back in your eyes, and that kills off the melatonin signals. And another good one actually is a really easy one. If someone's got a bath, it's a nice warm bath for bedtime. It just changes the body temperature, it changes the core temperature. Cool bedroom as well. So there's tons of things you can do, and it's one of my modules is on sleep actually, and it's about trying to it's about doing easy to do tasks, you know. I mean, I could sit and go do all this, make it consistent, go to bed at this time, but if that's not what someone does, it's about, well, how can we tweak all this ever so slightly and make it a bit easier? Even things like getting daylight in your eyes in the morning. It's really helpful because it helps switch off the melatonin, starts what's called melanopsin, and it starts the body clock. You're regulating the body clock. So when the body clock starts to know, it's bedtime, the lights have gone down, the phone goes off for me an hour before bed, and then I read in bed. So it's that kind of winding down sort of routine. The body knows the routine. So, I mean, the main thing is the consistency part. It's quite a big thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm just thinking there, it's similar to when we're babies. Yeah.
Yes.
How do you get a baby or child to sleep? Consistency, routine, bedtimes, nice bath, chill out. Yeah, you become an adult and scrap all that and wonder why you can't sleep.
Life sets in, unfortunately, and adulthood steps in, and all the stuff that we have to deal with steps in, and we forget that innocence of routine and for having fun, play. I picked a card just this morning and it said play, and I thought I need reminded of that quite regularly. As much as I go water in the ground, I don't play an awful lot. I don't do an awful lot just for fun, because I'm always thinking I must do this stuff, I must get this done, and it's sometimes we just need to stop and go, I've got a swing in my garden, so sometimes I just go out and have a little swing and think, let's just have a wee swing, let's just have some fun.
Awesome. Love that. Yeah. Inner child, happy inner child. So you mentioned there about your modules. So I know you've got a group coaching program coming up soon, which is based on your Thrive principles. So these are the principles that you believe support you in creating this life of thriving and not surviving. And I wondered if you wanted to just share those principles with us and kind of just the benefits of using those as a focus.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, these are the 6 that I have come to realize that worked so well for me. I mean, I've tried loads of things, but these 6 in particular really sat well with me. So the first one is acceptance. It's my most recent one that I've come across, and it's changed my life in the last year, particularly. My partner was away for 6 months, and I had a challenging family situation. My cat went missing, and there's a whole lot of stuff. And it sent me on the path of looking at the situation rather than fighting against it. So it's kind of about acceptance, is about accepting what is rather than what isn't. Because when we try and wish something was any other way than what it is, it causes us to struggle and stress. Yeah. And that can be self-acceptance of a situation, of other people. It's a tricky one, and it's the last one we deal with in the course, because it's quite hard to get your head around sometimes, because we're stuck in this kind of belief that no, this is not how it works. And it's like, well, actually, if you want to embrace this work, it's such a peace comes over with that acceptance part. So I try and practice it as often as I can. And when I do, it changes everything. I can be stuck in judgment or a bit of fear. And as soon as I do the acceptance work, I think, okay, just go back inwards, think of the acceptance part, and just, it changes. You can feel it in your body. It sort of changes everything. Breathwork's another biggie for me. So the breathwork module, it's about calmness, because there's so many tools of breathwork that can give you instant calm, but it's also the inner fire. So I like to do the Wim Hof breath. I love Wim Hof. Wim Hof's he's up there. He's one of my favorite people.
Little guru.
Oh, totally. I love his work. And he does the different breath work to help you with sort of, it gives you hermetic stress, it's called. So it basically gets you into sort of like a false sense of stress, which sounds odd, but it helps you cope with stress a lot better, because you've actually given yourself that stress, and it helps you get into cold water. So another part we touch on with the breath work is the cold water immersion. Different levels. I mean, I'll invite people to come to my house and do the actual cold water in the bath, but if that's not their thing, it's like put your feet in a basin of cold water is enough, or get in a cold shower, do the shower at the end. There's ways to embrace that, but that can be touched upon. Stress, there's the stress module. So they've all got names, these modules. So the stress one is called Turn Down the Noise. And this is about or stimulation or distractions and stuff. And it's about sort of your phones, TV, watching the news, that kind of stuff, all these stuff that don't serve us, but the stuff that we do. And it's about trying to add some stillness, maybe notice, like when I said I used to go up the hill with my audiobook all the time. Now I think, well, actually, I want some stillness. I'm going to do it in stillness. So it's like a walking meditation. So it's about adding stillness into the day. Mindset's another one. That's another module, and it's huge for everybody. And the mindset can be about like noticing your stories and changing them. So we often learn from experiential stuff, because we see something happen enough, we think it's truth, and we take it on as a belief. In fact, it's our truth, it's our belief, but it's not universal. So we have to be open and try and maybe rewrite the ones that don't serve us and the ones that aren't helpful. So that's another module. Self-love is a biggie as well. It's quite a core wound for quite a lot of women. It's that unworthiness. It's about sort of not looking for outside validation and validate yourself. Also self-care, that does come into it. You know, it's like, how can you pour from an empty cup kind of thing? So it's putting boundaries in place, putting yourself first. And then the last one is sleep. The last module, it's not the last one we cover, but it's the last one written down here, is about sleep. And it's about the consistency, so that you wake up motivated, you're waking up excited, you don't waking up with that sluggish feeling of, oh, you're waking up ready to face the day. So they are the 6 things that are the modules. I mean, there's much more things in life that help people, but these are the 6 things that for me really do. And I walk that walk. I mean, I walk that talk every day. I do all of these things. If not every day, they all get done all week sort of thing. So, I mean, all of them get looked at and they all intertwine. They all kind of work together. They're all really work on top of each other, but I just separated them off because as you write the words down, it actually takes the word thrive down the middle, like a little acronym. So that's the reason they're in that order.
Love it, love it, love it. And one of the things I know we touched on before recording and that you'd mentioned there in and around it was that turning down the noise and like mobile phone use, social media, those kind of things. And I know before we were recording, we're speaking about that because currently I'm going through a month of no social media. And yeah, that's something that I cover in my book as well, just that, you know, protecting yourself from the noise and the negativity so that you're more in control of you know, what's coming in. And I know that you've got a freebie, don't you, for people with regards to supporting them with their mobile phone use, is that right?
Yes, it's called How to Live in Harmony with Your Phone and Reconnect to Yourself and Your Loved Ones. Because that's the thing, it affects your loved ones as well. When you're sitting on your phone and there's someone next to you in the room, how rude is that? I hate that feeling. If someone's on their phone and I'm next to them, I think, hello, I'm here.
Yeah, I had that very conversation with my husband earlier today because I was trying to speak to him about something and he was looking at golf clubs on his phone and I'm like, less of the golf clubs, more of the listening, please.
Yes.
And then obviously the more you practice, it's the same with any form of like spiritual work or meditation or anything. The more you practice it, the more that you have awareness around it. Yeah. Absolutely. So it begins to highlight the other things. And one of the things I would say from my experience, and you know, grab Nicola's freebie. I'll pop the link in the show notes and stuff as well, so you can get hold of that. But you know, from my experience so far, I feel less stressed. I feel less kind of I've got more time. I feel more creative. I'm a very creative person and I felt like I'd lost that, and I was wanting to write my next book and it just wasn't coming. I just never felt I had the space for it. And now I could write like all day, every day. It's like really rekindled something in me and I'm enjoying that deeper connection. And I know this is something that we spoke about as well, Nicola, that, you know, people getting that deeper connection with other humans. Yeah, do you want to speak a little bit on that? Or
I mean, it's vital for our survival. Connection, they've realized now with a lot of studies and a lot of work, is that we need connection. We're socially wired human beings. We need that connection. And back to the fire, you know, in caveman days, that was connection. Everyone sat around the fire, connecting, using their strengths and things to be a community, be a tribe. And it's that connection. And it's been severed of late, and even more so with the introduction of smartphones, because I see it all the time. You see it all the time in a restaurant or in a queue or whatever. The default, when you're on your own and you've nothing to do, the default is get your phone out your pocket or your bag and do something. And I get that it's maybe I'm being productive because I'm going to check my emails quickly now while I'm sitting in traffic, or well, not obviously. You'd be parked up with your handbrake on safely, in traffic lights. But it's that moment of like, and I used to do it all the time. And I think, you know what, I can catch up another time. Smile, look around, you know, smile at people, make that connection. And it's like, that's that default of like, I'm just going to go on my phone. And me and Will still have this all the time. I've done the freebie and I do the stuff, but he maybe not so much. So a couple of times I'm like, oh, are you doing that mindfully? He's like, maybe not. No. It's like you're saying with the golf club. It's like, less at the golf clubs. Hello, I'm here. Pay attention to me. And it's such a new thing, really. Smartphones, that we don't know how to navigate this yet. Nobody's taking control of it and saying, hey guys, this is actually going to have a really detrimental effect to all the mental health of people. I think we're getting aware of this now, but I mean, look how long it took to realize that smoking was bad for you. You know, they used to advertise cigarettes. Doctors used to advertise brands of cigarettes. Same with alcohol. It's kind of like it's getting more recognized now that, okay, it's not as good for everyone as we thought. It's not the relaxing thing. And I think mobile phones, smartphones and stuff is the same. I think it's getting to the point where it's becoming a problem. And there's going to be repercussions of that, I think. So it's definitely something we need to look at. You know, there's no guidelines to say, okay, X amount of hours should be used on your phone, or like social media is it's designed to be addictive, unfortunately, because it makes people money, and there's no end. You know, you can scroll endlessly and get sucked into that loop. And when people don't feel good enough, they go into that loop because they think they're engaging and connecting and keeping up to date with stuff, but really it's the opposite effect. You know, it doesn't serve you at all. And I use it, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's awful, never use it. I love my phone for many reasons. It's finding that balance somewhere in the middle, I think, of, okay, well, we can do it, but let's pool the resources together so we can do it well.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got so many clients actually who don't use social media. And that was one of the main reasons when I created my membership, that it wasn't on social media, one, to enable other people to have access to it, but also that distraction factor. It's very easy, as you say, to get sucked in and in other ways. So yeah, it's super interesting. So obviously you've covered loads of things that you do. Is there anything else you want to touch on you use to support your mental, emotional health?
Yeah, so I mean, well, hiking hugely. I hike myself every day. I still go out every single day, not always to the same hill, but I just go when I feel inspired. I'm lucky to have a walk right on my doorstep, so I could just nip out my door and I'm in the hills, which is wonderful. I do a lot of mirror work, actually. I find that in the shower and after the shower, I actually sing. I sing, and one of my favorite songs is This Is Me, but it's the reimagined version, and it's a rap by Missy Elliott in the middle.
Oh, cool.
The words are so empowering that I actually sing them to myself and use the power poses and things in the mirror, and that makes me feel great. And essential oils. I love my essential oils. I mean, I'd use them every single day, and I find that really supportive for loads of reasons. I mean, for mood, but for health and for all sorts of things. I mean, just now I've got my diffuser on, and I think, what did I put in it today? Cedarwood, some lime, and what was the third one? And it was for a confidence. And I thought, oh, I need some confidence today. Let's go put that on. So yeah, those things definitely. I mean, nature always.
Nature heals. Amazing. And then the podcast is obviously called Be Free. The book is Be Free. The coaching's Be Free. Everything's Be Free. The community is now called Be Free. Yes. It's something that I'm so passionate about, is people just feeling that expansiveness and not feeling stuck. What does that feel like for you, or what brings you that sense of freedom?
Nature, obviously, number one. Yeah. I just feel that's when I feel the most connected. I just feel that wild woman coming out, I want to just like cuddle the trees, hug the trees, and I kiss and smell the trees, and I connect to the trees. That makes me feel really free. Singing, actually, I find is embodies freedom for me as well. But also, I think compassion is a biggie. It's like trying to get back into the heart space sometimes when we're feeling a little bit judgy or less than or something. It's like getting into that like acceptance part of like, well, this is what is right now, and this will pass, whatever it is. And that's been a really big thing that freed my sort of whole kind of anxiety mindset up, was that acceptance part. Yet the hardest, biggest part it was, but that seems to have been a really biggie for me, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a continual journey. That's something that I'm working with myself just now every day, is just placing my hands on my heart and just saying, I love and respect my body. I love and respect my body. And just, yeah, that's really supporting me, that compassion and acceptance that you mentioned earlier. As I kind of navigate this little ear thing I've got going on just now that's affecting my balance and stuff. So just, yeah, be showing that compassion and acceptance. So it's, yeah, beautiful thing to say for that. And then, so moving forward, if people want to connect with you, what's the best way for people to get hold of you?
So I'm on Instagram more than anything else out of social media, but I've also got a website. So on Instagram, I'm Wild Wellness Coaching. I am on Facebook. I'm not as active on Facebook, but I do have a group and a page. So the page is called Nicola Cook Wild Wellness Coaching. And the group's a private group called Be Well, Be Wild, Be Free. So free. So both of us there with the freedom. My website's www.wild-wellness.uk, and all my links are there. So the free link, the sign up to my mailing list link is there as well, and you can email me directly from there as well. So they're the best ways really to get in touch with me.
Awesome. Cool. So I will pop all of Nicola's links in the comments on YouTube and underneath the podcast and the show notes and stuff. And you can go connect with her email list. And if you want to connect with me on my email list, I would love that, since I'm not on socials this month. So please do reach out to me, connect with me, and also, yeah, come join our community as well. I think Nicola's been part of our community since the start as well.
I love it.
So yeah, come join us, hang out there, social media free, and yeah, meditate, chill, yoga, all the things, Reiki,
hug a tree.
hug a tree, exactly, amazing. Yes, is there anything else you want to add before we jump off?
You know what, start now. That's what I would say to people, because they put things off all the time, and it's like, I'll wait till XYZ. It's like, start now. The quicker you start, the quicker you'll make the changes.
Yeah, I love that. Pertinent advice. I've taken that on board myself. I was thinking about working with a certain person, and I asked for a sign yesterday, because I was like, anyway, then I asked for a signier sign, because the first sign wasn't enough. Then I got a signier sign, and then I was like, oh, then the person actually emailed me, and I'm like,
okay, that's it.
I think that's the sign. So I took action literally before we recorded this, so that's really good. But yeah, I've got another person I think I'm going to reach out to for support with my ear. So yeah, you've just inspired me to go take action.
Awesome. Yay
on that as well. So amazing. So yeah, go take action, and yeah, reach out to Nicola, give us guys a follow. If you like this episode, please do share it far and wide, rate it, subscribe. Makes such a difference for other people being able to access this support as well. And yeah, reach out to either of us with any questions of anything that's come up for you that we have discussed today. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much. I've loved it. Really enjoyed it.
Good. And you can, yeah, as I say, connect with either of us, and I will catch up with you real soon.
Thank you, Susie.
Bye.
Bye.